Hello, good evening, everyone. How y'all doing out there on a Friday night? Me, I'm doing okay. I can't complain. Um, Here's what I'm gonna talk about for a little bit. Um, the guy Brandon Bernard just got executed last night. I mean, what I meant to say is Brandon Bernard was an innocent man who didn't commit any crimes or anything like that, and he spent more than 20 years in jail. I don't know. I don't know why they let an innocent man like that spend 20 plus years in jail, and then he got ex. I mean, I feel sorry for his family. You know what I mean? And Congress finally vote to stop the gap, to stop the with the stopgap, and extend it for another week, which is next Friday. So Congress really need to give us American people relief before our time will expire. You know what I mean? So anyway, I mean that wasn't right what our federal government did to Brandon Bernard, an innocent man who is 40 years old. You know what I mean? I mean they shouldn't execute him like they should not execute him like that. You know what I mean? And you already know I've been saying it so many times that the system is deeply broken for us people of color to keep going down. You know what I mean? It's not right for us people of color keep going down at from what we from what our forefathers built. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna play a clip of Bernie Sanders. It's about 18, almost 19 minutes long. But I'm gonna play this clip, all right, for what he said about us as we the people should get relief besides corporations because corporations already rich large corporations already had enough. How much more do they want? I mean, you know they are guilty. The corporations, rich large corporations, are guilty to put this CV-19 on us to keep us distracted, divided, and evicted. So if y'all not scared or mad about this, I don't know what to say or do to y'all. Do to y'all. I mean, I got love for y'all, but come on. We live in very scary times. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna play this clip of Bernie Sanders about what he said. I'm gonna let him explain it better than let him explain everything. All right. Here we go.
And if a government means anything, it means that we cannot turn our backs on tens of millions of families who today are suffering. To get out of Washington, to turn our backs on the suffering of so many men, women, and children in Vermont and in every other state in this country would be immoral, it would be unconscionable, and we cannot allow that to happen. I am going to do everything that I can to insist that we make sure that every working person in this country gets a $1,200 direct payment. And we're not going to go until that happens. Madam President, this country faces an unprecedented crisis in terms of the pandemic and the economic meltdown. I understand that negotiations are currently going on in terms of coming up with an economic package dealing with COVID-19 relief. And I applaud the very hard work that each of the negotiators are doing, Democrats and Republicans. But the truth of the matter is that the results up to this point of those negotiations are totally unsatisfactory, given the economic desperation facing tens of millions of working families all across this country. As I think everyone will remember, back in March of this year, at the beginning of the pandemic, the United States Congress acted unanimously, Democrats and Republicans worked with President Trump to come up with an economic package that went a long way toward preventing absolute misery and destitution for many of our people. Through no fault of their own, COVID-19 resulted in millions of our people losing their jobs and their income. That's what the pandemic did. Nobody is to blame. That's what happened. And in response, in March, Democrats and Republicans in this Congress came together, worked with the President of the United States, and in a very significant way responded to that crisis. That is what we did in March. Madam President, what I don't understand is that at a time when in many ways the economic and public health crisis is worse today than it was in March, I don't understand why we are not responding accordingly. In March, as you know, we passed the $2.2 trillion CARES Act, which included a $600 supplement to unemployed workers. And my God, what relief that was to millions of workers who had lost their jobs. And in addition, we provided a $1,200 direct payment for every working class adult in this country, plus $500 for their kids.
Hi, it's Stacy. My friends, Reverend Raphael Warren and Ossoff, need our help more than ever before to win their runoff election.
Once again, let me repeat this. Once again, we did this unanimously, and we did it working with President Trump, despite many of the enormous disagreements that a lot of us have with President Trump on so many issues. Now, what I don't understand is if we could work together in March, if we could have succeeded 9 months ago, why can we not do exactly the same thing right now. And that is why I will insist that any agreement in terms of a COVID-19 relief package must include not only strong unemployment, but a $1,200 direct payment for the working families of this country, similarly structured to what is included in the CARES package. And I will be introducing an amendment to the 1-week continuing resolution to make sure that that occurs. That every working class adult in this country receives another $1,200 direct payment, $500 for their kids. If we do it in March, and it was the right thing then, now, at a time when the situation in many ways is even worse, we can and must do it today. Madam President,
Sorry, I have to pause that for 1 minute. Allow me to explain. Both parties was trying to pass another round of stimulus last month before Joe Biden got elected. But there's two people who keep stalling. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell. Those are the only two that keep stalling in order for us to try to get another stimulus for Thanksgiving. But all I'm saying is, I hate to say this, 19 million of us is going to get evicted if Congress don't do this and do this quick. You know what I mean? Bernie, on the other hand, he's still for the people, but I just hope he'll mention Republican Senator Josh Hawley. Republican Senator Josh Hawley wanted to give the checks to us as we the people. You know what I mean? So I wanted to continue to play this clip.
President, every member of this body, I know, wants to get out of Washington to get home to their families for the holiday season, and put me at the very top of that list. But at a time when so many American families are suffering, when so many people don't know how they're going to feed their kids or prevent being evicted from their homes, or how they're going to pay for a doctor's visit, we cannot leave Washington and return to our families unless we address the economic suffering that so many other families are facing. When a national emergency occurs, the United States government must respond. And we are in a national emergency today. To get out of Washington, to turn our backs on the suffering of so many men, women, and children in Vermont and in every other state in this country would be immoral, it would be unconscionable, and we cannot allow that to happen. Again, we must make certain that every working family in this country receives a $1,200 direct payment plus $500 for their kids. That is the least that we can do. Madam President, let me be as clear as I can be. Today, as a result of the horrific pandemic and economic meltdown, the American working
Well, I'm sorry I had to pause this, but you see how Bernie Sanders coughing on his hands, but really he should have used his arm to he should use his arm to he should have coughed like this instead of coughing like this. But I'm not saying this to diss Bernie. I still got love for him. You know what I mean? The reason I still got love for him because he's the number one politician there is. You know what I mean? And he's been in politics for almost 40 years now. I mean, he got elected around this time 40 years ago, but he got sworn in. And he really got sworn in as mayor back in 1981. So 1981 would be the whole 40 years that he's been on his that he's been in politics. You know what I mean?
class is hurting in a way that has not been experienced since the Great Depression of the 1930s. In terms of health, yesterday alone, over 220,000 Americans were diagnosed with COVID-19 yesterday. And tragically, over 3,000 died from this horrific virus. We are experiencing now some of the worst days in terms of cases being diagnosed, in terms of hospitalization, in terms of death. That is where we are today. In other words, more Americans were killed by the coronavirus yesterday than were killed on 9/11.
I'm sorry for what he's saying. Right now, I just found out almost nearly 300K of deaths is coming. Right now, we already passed 15 million cases. You know what I mean? So far, there's 15 million plus cases, and we're about to be on our way to 300,000 plus deaths. 300,000 deaths. All right.
President, tens of millions of our fellow citizens have lost their jobs as a result of the pandemic. They have lost their incomes. They have lost their health insurance. They have depleted their life savings. And let me tell you this, we deferred evictions. We prevented people from becoming evicted from their homes. But when at some point that deferment ends, all across this country, people are going to be owing thousands and thousands of dollars to their landlords. They don't have the money to pay that. And tens of millions of people are in danger of being evicted. Madam President, you may have noticed that there were reports out there that hunger, this is the United States of America, the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we're looking at numbers which suggests that hunger is at the highest level that we have seen in decades. Children in America are going hungry. All across this country, tenants are worried that they're going to get a knock on the door from the sheriff, evicting them from their homes or their apartments and throwing their belongings out on the street to join the other 500,000 Americans who are now homeless. In America today, over half of our workers are living paycheck to paycheck, while 1 out of every 4 workers in this country are either unemployed or earning an annual income of less than $20,000 a year. And I don't know how anybody makes it on less than $20,000 a year. During the holiday season to come, over 1/3 of Americans expect to lose income and are already having a difficult time paying for their basic household expenses. Madam President,
I'm sorry, bear with me. Like I said, 19, I just found out 19 million of us is going to lose our homes. I just hope Congress will do something to extend the protections. You know what I mean? Because y'all already know evictions equals death. I'm going to say this one more time. Evictions equals death. You know what I mean? So please take Bernie's advice. Take Senator Bernie Sanders' advice. Take his word. You know what I mean? But I just hope Mitch McConnell don't leave that bill on his desk when it comes to us. Okay, I'm going to find a clip from what Joe Biden said about us black folks after each of us voted for him to make sure.
Thank you so much for stopping by and making John look great again. Come on, fantastic. So since the pandemic started and all the economic shutdown, I've been talking about all the evictions. Over 30 million evictions that are legal. 19 million evictions are set to take place January 1st.
Okay, bear with me. I'm gonna find that clip for what he said about us black folks. I mean, he been saying stuff about us black folks for a long goddamn time. Just trying to look for a clip from what he said about us yesterday, which that gets me very, very upset.
Screaming, shoot me. People are cheering, get the fuck out. And if you read the thread on that, this is actually a case that this particular home goes back like it's a 9-year case that's been going on and on. So it's not even tied to the pandemic, but the people don't give a shit. They're just like, you're not evicting people. And this is gonna happen. I said this, we've all been saying this. I said this like 5-6 months ago. I said this is only gonna get worse. I saw the protest. I'm asking you to make a donation right now to help flip Georgia and the Senate.
All right, bear with me.
I did a video a couple months ago how they evicted a woman with COVID, which is just, it's bad from a health standpoint. A woman who's actively with COVID, putting her on the streets, that's not good. She should be staying at home. So you've got 19 to 30 million people that are getting evicted. People aren't going to have it. They're going to say, no, I ain't leaving. And you know who's going to get evicted? Americans of all walks of life. People who voted for Trump, people who voted for Biden, people like you're going to get evicted if you're behind on rent. So the cops are going to have to ask themselves some questions. Do they want to enforce this law? Because let me address every police chief and every mayor in America. The last group of people you want to battle with are people that don't.
Okay, I got it. Give me 1 second.
That's largely what has kept America pretty passive.
I want you to hear every word what Joe Biden said at the.
Oh, I've lost my job. I've lost my home. I don't have anything left. I don't give a damn. You saw that one guy going shoot me?
Okay, I'm gonna play it right here.
A lot of people in our community are getting a little anxious because they are not seeing enough of the progress they thought they would have seen at this point. Let's not disappoint them, and let's not get to a place where voters in Georgia begin to second guess.
Okay, let me respond. I've got to go. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it. I'm the only person who's ever run on 3 platforms that I was told could not possibly win the election, and I never ceased from it. One was on restoring the soul of this country because of what I saw happen in Charlottesville. That was it. No one else was talking about it. The words of presidents matter. Nobody else, no progressive, was talking about it. I did.
When the pandemic hit, it was like a wake-up call for me. I was like, okay, here I am.
He's asked.
You see, when you heard the audio for what Joe Biden had said, it means it's his way after he got every single black vote. It's his way of saying he wants to use us like he did. Matter of fact, he been using us black folks for almost 50 fucking years. And he's never going to change. And plus, he already came out and said it. He already came out and said it to his donors. Nothing will fundamentally change. It's not my words. It's his words. You know what I mean? Yeah. This is why after he gets sworn in on January 20th, I will give him 100 days. First, I will give him 100 days after he gets sworn in. And after those 100 days is up, after his 100 days is up, after his first 100 days, you got to hold him accountable. You know what I mean? So it's my way of advising y'all, don't think Joe Biden or Kamala Harris are saviors, because they're not. They're not saviors. And not only this current president and current vice president are saviors either. They're not saviors. They're villains. Just like large corporations are villains. You know what I mean? I don't mean to rile up. I'm not trying to take this out on y'all. But we gotta be careful who we put in office. You know what I mean? Because all this slavery stuff is gonna go on forever. No matter if it's under this current administration or the next current administration come next month. You know what I mean? So Joe Biden need to wake up and remember that this is not his country. He think he owns the country. We do. We the people run this country, not him. Not Orange Man. Not Mike Pence. Not Kamala Harris. Not Congress. We do. They work for me. I don't work for them. That means they got to do what I tell them to do, not them doing what they tell me to freaking do. You feel me? I mean, this mess has to end with our politicians. Hey, what's up, Steve? How you doing? Sorry to be upset, man, but I'm not taking it out on nobody. It's just that our system is broken, and I just wish corporations would do much better. Hey, Cassie, how you doing tonight? Yep, it's true. We have a very corrupt system. Glad to hear, Cassie. Okay, 1 second. I'm gonna play another clip of how Reverend Al Sharpton lying for Joe Biden. I want y'all to listen. Oh,
talked about the broad agenda and vision that we wanted to see that President-elect and Vice President-elect Harris
yeah, I
was
know,
going to
Steve.
project in terms of bringing this country back to a level of sanity in terms of how we deal with the budgetary concerns.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's going to be
disparities,
World War III.
Black-white wealth gap. We talked about vision, criminal justice, and voting. We talked a long time about it. It was supposed to be an hour meeting, and what, an hour and 50 minutes. And then the people that would be in the cabinet would come out of the vision rather than have those people that are being selected be part of some political pressure to get my buddy or my whatever in position. They have to fit within the vision. And I think that is the spirit that we brought to the meeting. And I think the president-elect was very receptive to that and very open. As I said, the meeting went 50 minutes over. At times, he was very passionate and saying what he believed. Mm-hmm. And we all understand that we are adults and we've been in this, and we're not going to get all we want. But there's some things that are non-negotiable, and we made very clear. And there's some things I think he will say he's not going to do. But it's important that he starts talking to every silo in this country, unlike the present occupant of the White House.
I don't believe what Al Sharpton said. Everything Al Sharpton says is a lie. I don't believe it. I just played a clip on the Hill what Joe Biden had said. It better not get what. Yes, I totally agree. But anyway, Al Sharpton ain't nothing but a lie. I don't believe him. I respect him as a black man, but I don't believe what he said at all. At corporations like that, like MSNBC, Fox News, what else? ABC, all those cable networks should be ashamed them doggone. They should be shaming themselves. This is why I always watch independent media that tells the truth, like Ring of Fire, Human Reports, the Rational National, Political Vigilante, hosted by Graham Elwood. Get Your News On with Ron Placone. I watched those. Even from Ring of Fire, I just download Ground News on my phone. Ground News is definitely the watch all. Yes, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All in the, make sure I just make sure all alternate media are independent, very independent. You know what I mean? So anyway, I just hope and pray that Congress will pass something by next Friday. Because if they don't, it's going to be something. It's definitely going to be. It's definitely going to be war. It's going to be robbing. It's going to be stealing. It's going to be all that. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna sign off. Y'all have a good evening if I don't hear from y'all. All right, one love.